a pretty good sized beard too.
So I sent a number of pictures to the group. to the
Yeah, it's
to
the
the
same we
DAF.
have in the actual, Ernie.
I got it.
So we'll, I'll reference when we get to it, I'll reference to it. So we're on Test Zion,
You can post those, Ernie,
post them where?
on the chat here. There's a function that people know how to use Zoom. It's called a share board or something like that. Whatever. For the future.
Okay,
I don't even know how to do that.
okay, I'll figure it out. So we're talking about the Beis HaMoiked. So if you look at the picture, the big picture, this one, that one,
Yeah,
you can see the Beis HaMoiked. Was this, it's to the left of the picture. It's got
Yeah,
a round yellow circle, looks like a bathtub in the middle of it, and that was
yeah,
right.
the
So,
separation.
so as you can see, that Beis HaMoiked had 4 offices in the 4 corners. If you zoom in on that, these are the offices that we're talking about. Half of this office was in the Azara and half was outside of the Azara. So the office that was Droimis Mizrachis, the one that was southeast, he lishka shayu boizim lechem aponim. That was, they made the lechem aponim. That's why he was in the Azara. Mizrachis Tzfoinis, northeast, which was out of the Azara, Bogonzu beis chashmonei abnei mizbech sheshichtu malchi yavon. When the Greeks were there and they offered Avodah Zarah on the Mizbeach, the Chashmonaim destroyed those Mizbachos, but they kept the stones in that office. Mizrachis Tzfoinis, Tzfoinis Maravis, northwest, which was also outside of the Azara. Bo Yordin LaBeis HaTfilah, that was like an underground passageway that they would walk underneath the Harabayas if they were tummy to go to a mikvah, so that they wouldn't contaminate the Azara. Amar Ravuna Mantana Midos. Who is the author of this Mishnah of Midos? Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Gemara is going to prove that it's got to be Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Why? It's not. Ezra's Nashim, right? Let's look at this picture again here. Here, look at the picture I'm showing. So this is the Beis HaMikdash, and this is the Ezra's Nashim. You walked into the Beis HaMikdash this way, through the Shar Nikanor, right? Here's the Mizbeach, here's the Ulam and the Heichal, where the menorah was, and the Shulchan and the Mizbeach Hazav and the Kodesh Kadoshim is here with the Aron. So this Ezra, it's like 2 squares. The Ezra's Nashim was here, and remember, Bnei Israel could walk here, even if you were not a Kohen. And then once you get to the Azara, you can't walk anymore. And Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is going to, this Mishnah, we're going to learn in Midos. Ezra's Nashim, I saw Oirech 135. Right, this was 135 amas long. Al roichav 135 on 135 wide, so square. V'arba l'shkacha yisayu ba'arba mitzvaseyah. 4 offices in the corner of each Ezra's Nashim. Ma'ayu misham. What were these offices for? Droimis Mizrachis. Droimis is here, southeast. Huaytalishkas and Nazirim. All the Nazirs get Shasham Nazir Mevashim Shalmeim. Part of the Nazir's korbanos, they had to cook the shlamim, umagachin sar, and they would shave their hair there. Umeshachin tachasadud, the hair would be cooked or burnt in the fire that the shlamim that they were cooking was cooking in. Mizrachis Svainis is here, northeast. That was where they kept all the wood that they used to burn the korbanos. If you were a Kohen, it was a Balmum. So you couldn't go here. Here's the Azara, but you could be here. This is Machna Shina. This is Machna Levia. And if you're Tameh, if you're a Balmum, you could be here. You could and a Balmum didn't do the Avodah. They could go there, but they couldn't do the Avodah. So they were put to work deworming the wood. So deworming.
Avenue, Los Angeles. What? It's LASEAL.
Oh, shit.
What's going on here?
No, I'm sorry. Sorry, I tried to put the images.
Alan is my husband. I'm Joyce. What?
Mario, can you mute everybody? There's a lot of noise in the background.
That's Alan's.
Can you just mute everybody?
So mute it.
Thank you.
Okay, I tried to share the photos, but I couldn't. Go on.
Can you mute Alan?
I did. And
Okay.
I muted Kenny.
Okay, good. So they would deworm the wood. A piece of wood that had a worm in it would be invalid for the mizbech. Sfoinis Maravis, northwest, which is here. Northwest, the Mitzoiras would gather there, and in order, they would eventually have to stick their thumbs to get sprinkled on, so they would gather in that office. Maravi's droimis, southwest, here. He forgot what that office was used for. So from here, the Gemara proves that the Mishnah was Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Now, Abba Shaul Oimer, but in that office, Hayunoisnin Yain Vashemen, they would have wine and oil. The Hiyasanikris Lishkas Peshmanya, right? The wine and the oil were used for the Nesachim, for the libations, for the korbanos. The Gemara is going to bring more proof that Hachanami Mistavra. It makes logical sense to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakovi. It's not. So again, look at the picture. So there were walls all around the Beis HaMikdash. But Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is going to tell us that this wall was lower. Because when the Kohen Gadol is going to burn the paraduma here, it says he had to be el nochach pnei ol moed. And we're going to see through the calculations that we're going to do now that unless this wall was lower, the Kohen Gadol standing here would not be able to see directly into the oil moed. Let's see how this works. The Kohen who burns the paraduma stood on the mount. He had to orient himself opposite the opening of the Heichal when he sprinkled the dam of the paraduma. Utnan kolapsochim shayusham. The gates to go into the Azara were Esrim Amma high. Verochvan Esser Amos, and 10 Amos wide. Now, based on the Utnan, Lifnim Mimenu Soreg. Closer into the Azorah from this wall was a smaller wall called the Soirig. Utnan, lifni mimenu achil. Inside that partition was something called a chil, which was also like a kind of a partition. These were Esser Amos. They were 10 Amos high. Ushtemesre malos hayu shamru malach chatzi amo shilcha chatzi amo. There were 12 steps, half an amma high and half an amma wide. Chamesh esrei malos oilos mi toicha hayordos mi ezras Yisrael ezras noshim. There were 15 steps that went down from the Ezras Yisrael here. So this was all raised because there were steps leading up to the Beis Hamikdash. Also, also each step was a half an amma high and a half an amma wide. Utnan, in the same Mishnah, Beina Ulam v'Lamizbeach, between the Ulam and the Mizbeach, Esri Mushtayim Amma was 22 Ammas. Ushtem Esrei Malos Hayusham. There were 12 steps going up too. Rum Malach Chatzi Amma v'Shilcha Chatzi Amma. Half an amma high, half an amma wide. Utnan Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and Maila Sham. There was another sort of like a stage that was upper, that was Gvoya Amma, was a amma high. The Duchatun Aleo, there was a stage placed on top of it. Uvo Shalosh Malash Shel Chatzi Chatzi Amma. There were 3 steps, again, 5 ammas high, half an amma high and half an amma wide. Now, here comes the proof. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, if all of these Mishnayos are Rabbi ben Yaakov, Hainu de Kasile Pischa. These walls that we've just described are going to cover the opening of the Old Moed, and that's why the wall of the eastern side had to be lower. Otherwise, based on these dimensions, it would have blocked the view. Because if you're going to tell me the Mishnah is Rabbanon, Ha'ika palga de amsa de mischazile. The Rabbanan didn't have this extra maila. So there would be a little bit of opening that the Kohen Gadol would be able to see. And Allah Shemai Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov comes out that we've proved through multiple ways that the Mishnah Masechta Tamid is all Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. However, Ravada Baravo Amar Hamani Rabbi Yudi. Ravada says, no, it doesn't have to be Rabbi Yaakov. I'll prove to you it's Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya. We learn in a Baraisa. Now, if you notice, by my picture, here's the Ulam, the Heichal. The Mizbeach was in the south, and the north was free. The Mizbeach ended halfway. If you bisected the Azorah 50%, the Mizbeach didn't go beyond, didn't go 1 centimeter into the north. There was a 32 amma Mizbeach and a 30 ramp leading up to the Mizbeach. So Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, HaMizbeach memutza v'omed be'emtza Azorah. He says the Mizbeach stood, that half of the Mizbeach was on this side of the Ulam. So he didn't learn that the Mizbeach is the way it is. He moved the Mizbeach so it was like sitting sort of halfway, half in the north and half in the south. Let's see how he says it. HaMizbeach memutza v'omed be'emtza Azorah. Ushloshim shtayim amos hayu. There was, the Mizbeach itself was 32 amos. Eser amos keneged pisko shel heichal. 10 amos of the Mizbeach. So if the Mizbeach was 32, 10 of them were sitting right bisecting the opening of the Heichal. So then you're going to have 11 on one side and 11 on the other side. So 22 plus 10 equals 32. Nimtza Mizbech mechuvan keneged Heichal v'koislov. So the Mizbech was exactly sort of opposite the walls of the Heichal, the walls of the Heichal. Now, but if Rabbi Yehuda's measurements are correct, how could you have the Mizbech situated the way we just described? V'hatna. This is a famous Mishnah in Midos. Kol hazor isa orech 187 aroch of 135. The Azora itself was 107 by 135 width. So it was a rectangle, the Azor. The Ezras Noshim we said was a square, but the Azora was a rectangle, 187 by 135. And we're going to count it. Going from east to west. Look, we're going to start right here from the opening. We're going to measure every step as we go through the Mizbeach from east to west. How do you figure always west? Because the Kodesh Kodoshim lived in the west. Our Koisel Maravi that we have is this wall. So when we step, now where we stand is not the Makam HaMikdash. We are here. It means we are further.
Oh, further west.
No. We are further north. Because the Kodesh Kodoshim, the base of it, this is the Koisel Amaravi. So where we are is further north.
Oh,
And then this way goes south. So
okay.
if you go into the old city, south, eventually you can davel next to the Kotel HaKatan, and then you're closer to where the Kodesh Kodoshim was. Like Sydney made his son's bar mitzvah in 1987. I was there with my son at the Kotel HaKatan. So let's again measure step by step from here going. So Mokam Drisas Regel Yisrael Achad Esrei Am. So a non-Kohen could step 11 amas into the Azorah. We did that on Erev Pesach. We could take our shepsel, our sheep, and walk into the Azorah. Only 11 amas. Beyond 11 amas, a non-Kohen couldn't walk. Mokam Drisas Ragle Akonim Achad Esrei Am. Further in 11 amma is where the Kohanim. That's the place where Israel can't go further. So that's 22. Then we get to the Mizbeach. Remember, the Mizbeach is 32 by 32 square. So we have 11, 11, 32. So when we have 22 and 32 is 44. Between the Mizbeach and the Ulam is 22. So now we're at 66. The Heichal Mea Amma. So now we have 100 and what were we up to? 11 is 22. 32 is 54.
56.
What?
54.
11 is 22. Then 32 is 54. Then we said 54 plus 22 is 76. 76. Then the is 100, so 176. The Achad Esrei Amma, there's between the wall of the Kodesh Kodoshim and this wall was 11. So 176 plus 11 is 187. So we have an exact calculation of the length of the Azor. Now we're going to calculate the width going this way. Let's do it. Mina Doram Latzofo. So remember, we know the Mizbech is always in the south. So from south going north, is 130 chaz. This is going to be 135. Let's do it. Hakeves v'mizbeach 62. So the ramp and the mizbeach is 62. So the ramp was only 30, right? It's 30 plus 32. Then, min hamizbeach v'latabos, these are the rings. They used to put the head of the animal into the rings and turn it, and that's how they did the shechita. So, min hamizbeach v'latabos shmona 8. Mokum hatabos, then where the area of the rings is esrim v'arba. So now you're up to 32. So you have 32 plus 32, 64. Excuse me, 30 plus 32 is 62, plus 32 is
94.
Right? Then min hatabos l'shulchanos arba. Then there were tables that they would put the animals on to wash them and clean out and take the intestines out. Min hashulchanos lananosim arba. The nanosim were posts that they would hang them on hooks so that they could take the hides off. And then min hananosim lakoisel azara, from where those posts were to the wall, other side of the wall is another 8. And then v'moisra ben hakeves v'lakoisel, the amount of space between the ramp and the wall on the other side of mokum hananosim adds up to 135. But if you're going to tell me that the mizbech was arranged the way you described, mizbech b'emtza azar mimishkachaslei, haruba the mizbech badoram koi. Rabbi Yehuda would not be able to situate his mizbech in the middle. We have now understood that the majority of the mizbech is purely in the south. The vast majority of it was in the south, not the way Rabbi Yehuda is losing. El alav shmami no Rabbi Yehuda ben Yaakovi shmami no, can't be Rabbi Yehuda. The way we've described it has to be only according to Rabbi Yehuda ben Yaakov. Okay.